Hi, this is PR Sundar. Welcome to this special episode where I'm going to talk something about Tamil people. We can say pride of Tamil people. This is a slightly different one, so this is not related to stock market. So first thing is that you all know that I was working as a teacher in Tamil Nadu for some time, then Andhra Pradesh, then again Gujarat, then Singapore. And then after that, I entered into stock market. Now you know where I am. Right. Now, for the last 15 days, I came to Singapore because one of my friend's daughter's marriage was there. So that's why I came to Singapore. Then I thought, no, we will just go to Malaysia. So I've gone to a number of places in Malaysia, like Johor Bahru, Kuala Lumpur, Genting Highland, Penang, Langkawi. Especially the Langkawi, I liked it very much. I stayed there for more than a week. So I just came back only yesterday. Now, first thing is that, from the beginning, I'm not very much inclined in traveling to other places. But, once I decided, okay, at least I must visit some countries. Then I thought, what is the criteria? People always like to visit France or Switzerland, but I wanted to visit countries where our ancestors, the Tamil people, have gone there and settled. So Mauritius is actually not a very famous tourist destination, but I still went to Mauritius just because, the Tamil Nadu people settled in Mauritius, a number of people. Not only Tamil people, but also the North Indians. In fact, right now, the Prime Minister of Mauritius is a North Indian origin. Finance Minister is a South Indian origin, a Tamil person. Right. Of course, I was planning to set up a hedge fund. So, that is also one of the reasons why I had to go make a trip to Mauritius. So I just combined this, both business and leisure and traditional. Right. So let me tell you some interesting stories I heard about our Tamil pride, While I was in Singapore working, I used to go to a barber who cut my hair. And like once he told me his story. He is from Tamil Nadu. Before 1947, I think, both India and Malaysia were under British rule. So that time there was a shortage of laborers in Malaysia. So what the British government did, they sent some ships from India to Malaysia, and they said that, you don't need passport, you don't need visa, and you don't need to pay any money for tickets, and the food will be free in the ship. So you just get into the ship in India and they will bring you to Malaysia. So you have to get down in Malaysia and then find a job yourself. So like this, the many ships were deployed by the British government. So this, my friend, who is a barber, when he was a small boy, he had a fight with one of his friends. So he punched him on his nose. So his nose was bleeding, right? And then, the entire village got angry with this guy. So they were looking to punish this guy. So this guy was so scared of going back to the village, and but don't know what to do. Then, so immediately he came to a nearest city called Nagapattinam. So he don't know what to do. He was afraid of going back to the village. And then he saw a poster on the road saying that, if you want to go to Malaysia, you can come and board the ship. The ship is starting tomorrow. And no visa, no passport, no ticket. The food will be free and everything is free. So he was actually not interested in coming to Malaysia, but he doesn't know how to escape from the punishment from the village people. So he simply came and boarded the ship. So the ship came to Malaysia, then landed in Malaysia. He got out of the Malaysia. Then he was working in Malaysia as a laborer. And then he started his own business of barber. And then that time, they both Singapore and Malaysia were in British rule. Even after the independence also, for some time, India and sometimes Malaysia and Singapore were both are one country only. Singapore was one of the states of Malaysia, but the later Singapore came out separately. So during that time, so he came to Singapore. So then he set up a barber shop. He's a very old guy. He must be about 75, 80 years now, about at least 20 years older than me. But he's a very happy man. He has his own house in Singapore. He has his own shop, the shop where he's doing the business. He owned the shop also. So he's a very, very happy person. So, what is the learning point in this story? Okay, number one, the most of the people think, they are feeling bad. I am not born rich. My father did not have acres of lands, properties, and this and that. But let me tell you, sometimes you don't have anything. That's a very big plus point. Because you don't have anything, so you have nothing to lose in the world. So you take on the world. So there's a saying, to lose there is nothing, but to gain the entire world is there. So I'll just give you an analogy or a story in my life. So I was born in a village, right? My parents had no properties, nothing, absolutely nothing. My father was a ordinary unskilled worker working in electricity board in Tamil Nadu. Whereas one of my friends' father was a rich guy. He had about 20 acres of land in village. So he always thinks that he is a rich man. So his parents have a lot of properties. And the agriculture was doing well so those days, So because of that, he didn't study. He studied only up to 10th standard. But for me, we don't have anything. So therefore, only studies can do something good for me. So after my 10th standard, I went to 12th standard. Then after that, I went to BSc, then MSc. And then I became a teacher. And after becoming a teacher, many of my friends who were with me during my MSc and B.Ed courses, and most of them, they were not interested in coming out of Tamil Nadu. Some kind of a mental resistance. It can be many things. It can be social. It can be many other things. Language, but I had nothing. So I had nothing to lose. So therefore, I ventured into North India. So I went to Gujarat. So because I went to Gujarat, I got better knowledge about India, because as long as you are in Tamil Nadu, you know only Tamil Nadu. But you come out of Tamil Nadu, you know other states also. And then stock market especially, I learned in Gujarat only. And then, so my exposure was a little bit more. Then, because, I came to North India, so I survived, then I got the confidence. I can go and survive in a place where, I do not know the language. I did not know Hindi, right? First time when I went to this particular school in North India, they told me, sir, don't worry. I met the office boy, right? So that office boy told me, sir, don't worry. Over a period of time, you will learn Hindi. But what has actually happened, over a period of time, I never learned Hindi, but that office boy learned English because of me, right? So that's my language skill set, My wife can speak much better Hindi than me, right? But I got the confidence that I can survive in an environment where I do not know the language. Then I ventured into Singapore. So while coming to Singapore, there were a lot of apprehensions, you can say. Language, like most of the people are Chinese and this and that, Of course, here English you can manage, Tamil you can speak everywhere. But then, now the information is in your fingertips, because you have Google and other things. But those days when I came in 1993, there was no internet. right? But still I dare to venture. So that is how my life has changed, just like this barber story, right? So the learning point from this story is that, you don't feel bad, you don't have anything. So sometimes you don't have anything, that's a very big plus point. You can, no need to, you have no commitment to stay in one place. You can travel across the world. So you can win the world actually. So this is one thing. Now, few more stories. Right? And I went to Malaysia this time. I like this island called Langkawi. I stayed there for more than a week. And for those people, Langkawi is actually a tax-free territory, right? Drinks, cigarettes, they're all very, very cheap. Although I don't use them, but when I compared the prices are very, very cheap in Langkawi. So many people go there, just like Tamil Nadu people go to Pondicherry, because Pondicherry, the liquor is like very, very cheap compared to Tamil Nadu. Because the entire Tamil Nadu politics is based on the liquor actually. So, because many people are saying, sir, you never talk anything against the Tamil Nadu ruling party. So just now I said, Tamil Nadu politics is based on the liquor. Whether it is a DMK or ADMK or any other party, that's going to be the same case, right? Whoever is ruling Tamil Nadu, the two important thing, one is liquor, second one is a movie, right? So whichever party comes, so that's the main thing. So beyond that, let us not go into the politics. So Langkawi is a tax-free island, right? That's one thing. Second thing, it's a very, very beautiful island. And Langkawi belongs to a state called Kedah. So Kedah is a state. Right. Now, see, in Tamil Nadu is a state. But only now Tamil Nadu is a state. But those days, hundreds of years before, it was a kingdoms. Chera, Chola, Pandya, like that, So there are kingdoms. Like that, in Malaysia also, there were about 9 kingdoms. Right? So each kingdom has been converted into each state now. So then united Malaysia now. So like that, Kedah was a kingdom once. The king of Kedah had a threat from his enemies once upon a time. So he requested a Tamil king from Tamil Nadu, a place called Tanjore. So his name was Rajaraja Chola. So he requested the Tamil king to help him. So the Rajaraja Chola sent his forces from Tanjore, Tamil Nadu to Kedah. And he fought with the enemies. Then he secured this kingdom. So gave it back to the king, and then the forces returned. Now, there's a general impression outside India that, now India is anti-Muslim. But those days, one Tamil king actually came all the way, thousands of kilometers. At least now we have aircrafts. Those days, no aircrafts. I don't know how those people came, by the sea or by the roads. And then secured a Muslim kingdom from his enemies and handed over the kingdom to the Muslim ruler and came back to their original place. So that is the story of Tamil. So this kingdom of Kedah in Malaysia is known as Gadaram in Tamil. So that's why Rajaraja Chola was known as Gadaram Kondan. Gadaram Kondan means the one who owns Gadaram, Kedah. Right? So this is one interesting story I heard. And another story, right? Although I visited many places where Tamils were living, like Mauritius, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, but yet I wish to see another country called Myanmar. And those days it was called Burma, but now it's Myanmar. So this Myanmar, I'm a little bit reluctant to travel for 2 reasons. Number one, it's under, you know, uh, uh, army, right? It defense forces. It's not a democratic country. Second one is, there are no tourist places, right? It's just because our ancestors came there, settled down there, and then during some coup, all these Tamils were asked to leave the country. So they left the country, by leaving all the properties there. In Tamil Nadu, in Chennai, there is a place called Burma Bazaar. For the people who came from Burma, so to help them, they constructed some shops and given to them, right? So that time, there is a place called Karaikudi in Tamil Nadu. So you go there, there'll be like all rich people those days, like, the construction of houses, like very, very big houses, and they use teak wood called Burma teak wood. Okay, the teak wood, the Burma teak wood is very, very famous, very, very strong. So I used to wonder, how come they brought so much of a teak wood from Burma to Tamil Nadu? It's very, very far away. It's like few thousand kilometers. But then one of my friends in Karaikudi, he told me a story. So he said, okay, you just imagine there's a river flowing. You throw anything on the river, what will happen? So that will be going along with the river. So he said there is something like that in the sea also. So in the sea, the water will be flowing very fast. So that's called current. So I just give you an example. Suppose, you are going in a ship. If somebody fall from the ship, the helicopter will come and search the place where the person has fallen, right? But if the person happened to fall in a current, then, the helicopter come also no use, because, he would have been taken away by the current, far away, within 1 hour, 2 hour, 100, 200 kilometers will be moving. So it will be very difficult to do a search operation. So what my friend told me, there is actually one current that is flowing from Myanmar to Karaikudi in Tamil Nadu. So the people in Karaikudi who are settled in Burma, what they do, they cut the teak wood. So they carve their family name, they throw it into the sea. So that, once it is thrown into the sea, it floats and then go and stuck in the current. Then it moves very fast from Myanmar to all the way to a place near Karaikudi. Right? So he said it will take about 15 days. So after throwing that teak wood, they will write a letter to the relatives in Karaikudi. So after 15 days, these people will go and look at the seashore and they will get the teak wood. Now you want to do, you have to appoint an agent, then you have to pack it, you have to put it in container, then you have to book a shipping, then come Indian customs, they'll ask you so many questions. So no customs, no charges, no container, no shipping, no agents, just throw it into the sea and then it comes back. So my friend told me, all the houses in Karaikudi, it was constructed like this only, using the high quality teak wood from Burma. It's called Burma teak wood. So these are some of the interesting stories I heard about Tamil people. Okay, so being a Tamilian, so I must feel proud of about Tamil people's achievements those days. Very soon I'll be planning to visit Vietnam, and I think there are some temples in Vietnam is constructed by like Tamil kings. And so Vietnam and Myanmar are the two countries in my radar. So next time. So hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you for watching.